what costumes would have been used during what costumes would have been used when every man would have been performed. I looked at during this time there would have been kind of a shift from the church plays of being all the plays being religious and performed in church, and would be less elaborate costumes. The costumes would have been more based on what people in the church would have been wearing, and then it was shifting to performances put on by craft guilds, where they did much more elaborate costumes and sets and other design elements. And in the church, the costumes would have been more used as symbols and would have had something added to them to show the character. And then the craft guild's costumes would have been much more elaborate. And these costumes would have these costumes would have been able to be reused for other plays, so they wouldn't be completely specific to the characters. And a lot of the inspiration that I took while I was looking up these characters was from artwork, and especially stained glass from the time period, since the stained glass would have had a lot of the religious elements. And this was not exactly based on what they may have used, but kind of a mixture of both, and what people thought at the time of these characters. This is some ideas for every man. Pretty much how this is going to work is the picture on that side is my drawing, the picture on this side is a piece of artwork from the time period. He would be wearing the basic dress of the period, which is 3 pieces, and men were always supposed to be wearing 3 pieces, or else they were considered underdressed. And he would be well-to-do because he does have money. He does think his status is very important during the time, and he also could lose layers when he would pence near the end-ish of the play, or could change his clothes to something that would be much more humble. This is God. During this time period, God was always dressed in bishop robes, because the bishop would be considered the highest person and the richest person. Although they also would make sure during the time that bishop's robes were looked different from what like a rich lord's clothing would be, is they had a specific type of dress for each one. And once again, this would be showing a reflection of what clothing people in the church would be using. This is death. A lot of the artwork from the time period would be what we considered the Grim Reaper, which would be a skeleton with a scythe. And then death was also kind of much more of a daily thing during medieval times. And I went for the brown monk's robes, which would kind of be also a connection back to church clothing. And then good deeds, being the fact that she's supposed to be a more religious character, she would be wearing nun's clothing, but she would also have the blue that would be connected to the Virgin Mary, because she's supposed to be this ultimate kind of what to aim for. And knowledge would be dressed in more of the clothing from the time period, and which would be kind of like a form-fitting gown with some sort of head covering, and then she'd have a symbol for a book for knowledge based on the fact we couldn't make these costumes too character specific. And the angel would be much more of an elaborate costume, especially when the craft guilds took over. They would have like really richly embroidered dresses and golden wings and halos and very large costumes. And that is it. Thank you.